Hey everybody, Martin Williams here. All I really want to do is help you take control of your own life. I want to talk to you about this question. What can you do, really? What can you do? I mean, really, at the end of the day, what can you do? I want to say that one of the things you should really understand is determined to focus on yourself. Determined to make you the center of your attraction, the center of your attention, the center of your focus. You can't make something or someone else your focus because you can't change them. You can't change that the flight is late. You can't change that there's a flat on your tire. You can't change that someone wants to change the status of their relationship with you. You can't focus on those things because it's energy, time, wasted, used inappropriately, maybe a better term. But to appropriate your time, your energy, you should focus on yourself. Determine that. Hopefully, I am talking you into this process where you really begin to see the best thing you can do for all of us is focus on yourself. If you focus on yourself, all of us will be fine, whether now or eventually. Here's what I want to ask you. Who are you responsible for? If you were, have you ever babysitted a sibling or a sibling babysitted you, or you were, you hired a babysitter to take care of your children, and when you come home, when mom comes home or dad comes home, or when they come home and now they're with your kids, or you were the babysitter, there are always questions. How did they do? Did anything happen? What happened? And if something happened, they say, well, why didn't you fix that? Why did you let little Johnny flush the napkin down the toilet? Why did you let Susie paint her brother with a magic marker? Why did you let that happen? And you would simply say, or someone would simply say, well, I was doing this. I didn't see them doing that. In other words, this thought of focusing your attention on what other people are doing eventually slips outside of your responsibility. Question I always ask: what are you responsible for? Who are you responsible for? Why? Because responsibility is a grammatical construct. It's not a word. It's a construct, and it's an idea. The phrase or the word responsibility asks the question, do I have the ability to respond? Responsibility. Do I have the ability to respond to this? If I don't have the ability to respond to this, change its outcomes, change the trajectory, change the power of it, if I don't have that ability to respond to it, I'm not responsible. I gotta know. I will talk to you about this until I am black in the face, right? Because this comes down to the only, if I try to control what's outside of me, I am wasting my time. So who are you responsible for? Answer me, please. Answer out loud. Who are you are you really responsible for your husband and your wife? No. Are you really responsible for your children? No. You're responsible to provide for them. You're responsible for putting them in the right situation as best you can. But at the end of the day, they come to a place of accountability themselves. So you should be responsible for you. Who are you? What are you supposed to be really doing? How are you making exceptions? You got 24 hours like everybody else. How are you using them? Who fits inside these 24 hours? Where are you going? Are you working on things that you can only control? Do that for yourself. I won't get too deep. I think we got that concept, right? Here's my question. Why be selfish? Why be selfish? Well, we should probably break down the nomenclature of that word, selfish. What's the definition of selfish? To focus on self. What is the culture or the nomenclature? What does it really mean to be selfish? I want to be selfish. I want to work on myself. I want to make decisions and focus myself, my own personal authority to control my life, so that when I marry the right girl, she won't be dealing with the guy who's not in control of his life. You get what I'm saying? I want to have self-discipline. I want to determine to focus on myself, because if I don't, I will affect other human beings, whether negatively or positively. So I have to focus on myself if I want the earth to be a better place, if I want my neighborhood to be a better place, if I want my relationships with any person to be in a good place. I have to be a bit selfish. I have to say, Martin, you need to take care of this because you're going out into the world. You're going into a workplace. You're joining this team. You're being a part. I have to focus on me. I have to be a bit selfish. If I'm not, I'm going to miss something. If I'm focusing on other people and other things, I won't be in the position to take advantage of what the opportunities have been given to me. I won't be able to do it. So I got to, and now people wrestle with this. They wrestle with, he's so selfish. He only thinks about himself. Well, if the outcome is that he's hurting people, he really hasn't thought about himself yet. Right? He hasn't been selfish. The real key and the real focus and the real evidence of a selfish person is that they're kind to you. They're truthful to you. They're trustworthy. Because they have now focused on themselves. They have noticed when there are shortcomings. They have noticed in their own life when they haven't been truthful and they went home and disciplined themselves. They have noticed in their own character that there's a flaw. They work on it. So when they interact with other people, when you're in the room with them, you're in a business deal with them, you don't have to worry about their integrity because they are integrid. What they say is what they do, and it's who they are when they're alone. Say it with me. Integrity is what I say I do, and it's who I am when nobody's watching. Because I am reduced to what I do when no one's watching, that's who I really am. That's who I really am. When no one's watching, I'm by myself. That's who I am. Now, don't tell nobody. It's none of their business. Don't go confessing to people, right? Just tell yourself, if I'm doing this while I'm by myself, I need to focus on me. There's this idea, again, in my favorite books, and I got a library of books, walls of books, and on my phone, there are hundreds of books that I read every day. I dedicate an hour every day to reading, right? So now, but my favorite book is the Bible. I find so many things in that book that all the other books really get their information from. All the other books are written from a principle that's in the Bible. And here's a principle. Here's a principle. The story goes like this. The master teacher is teaching a bunch of people, his disciples, and there are thousands of people there. And he says these words, you know, I really need you to love your neighbor. I really need you to reduce your neighbor to a human being. They're just human. Skin color, male, female. They may not be living the way you're living. They may serve a different God. They may not serve a God at all. They may choose another sexual preference. They may do whatever. But he says, what I want you to do is just love them. In other words, I want you to accept them for who they are. That's all I want you to do. Just accept your neighbor for who they are. And then he says something really weird. He says the only way you can do that is if you love yourself. Now, here's the issue. People who hate you don't hate you. They hate themselves. People who don't like you, it's not that they don't like you. They don't like themselves. A truly selfish person will be able to accept you as you are. I'm told all the time, and I don't mean to be political, but I'm told all the time, when I look at you, I don't see a black man. And I say, you don't see me then. You don't see me at all, and you have an issue with yourself. Your issue's not with me, it's inside you. So I'll let you wrestle with that. But my earthly experience is from a black man's standpoint. That's my earthly experience. So you can't know me until you understand that, right? But because I've been selfish enough to deal with what goes on in my head, I've had to deal with my own prejudice. I've had to deal with that stuff in my head. I see you for who you are. I see you in the skin you're in. I see you from the culture you were raised in, the state you were raised in, what neighborhood in that state were you raised in, what education level you have. I see all of you so that I can understand you, right? So what the master teacher was saying is simply this: make friends with selfish people. Go into business with selfish people. Marry selfish people. Keep breathing, keep breathing, keep breathing. You want to surround yourself with selfish people. Why? Because they have learned to love themselves. They have fallen in love with themselves. Not talking about narcissism. They have reduced themselves to a human, and they have reduced you to a human. So as the story goes, love your neighbor like you love yourself. What if you don't love yourself? It's impossible for you to love your neighbor. If you don't trust yourself, it's impossible for you to trust your neighbor. If you can't save a penny out of a dollar for yourself, you're not going to be able to be in a righteous investment relationship with your neighbor. You get what I'm saying? This idea that I can only love others the way I love myself. There's no other way to do it. So I've got to focus on me. I have to. If I ever want to do any good, if I ever want to make a difference, if I ever want to be a blessing to people, if I ever want to answer the questions of the world, if I ever want to solve the problems around me, I have to love myself. I have to believe in myself. I have to trust myself. I have to encourage myself. So now I'm worthy to be with other humans. Until then, other humans sort of need to guard themselves from me. Am I making sense? That's probably enough of this one, right? It's a lot of information perhaps to soak in or to hear. And I welcome your challenge. I welcome you going to study, research what I just said. And if you find out it doesn't fit you, reject it. That's your decision. You got to make decisions, right? If it doesn't serve you, reject it. But prove it wrong first by doing your own reading, your own study, right? Your own examination. But loving yourself is the key to your success. Because if you can love you can love anybody. If you can love your ideas, you can see the credence in someone else's idea. If you love the investments you're making, you'll see the other people's investments are good. But if you never see yourself right, you will never see others right. You'll never see life right. And this is something you should take control over. So just take this in mentally, take this in emotionally, just take it in as just truth. Not a judgment of you, not a judgment of your life. It's just truth that's just been given to you. And when you exhale, you're simply saying, okay, this is the way it is, and I'm going to try to figure out a way to live my life inside the truth I just heard. Make sense? Because you know, at the end of the day, I just want you to be in the position to control your own life. Later.